What's up, people? My name is Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. This is part 4 of what I hope is my never-ending series. Yes, I hope the dead never stop releasing these, and yes, I hope plan on living forever. Of Dave's picks from the Grateful Dead, they had a series that ran for over a decade called Dick's Picks, which were sort of like full concert releases or like sort of 3 dates in one city, and there would be a mix of like songs that kind of simulated a show. Dave's pick so far has been complete shows with maybe some bonus tracks. This is volume 4. I'm going to review it. Then at the end, I'm going to rank it with the other 4. This is a complete show from September 24th, 1976. Couple really nice things about this release. This was an uncirculated tape. I know it was not in existence, or it was in existence, or maybe not in existence, but it was not in circles. If you were trying to find this tape in tape trading circles, you could not find it. I'm not even sure it was circulated when it was released, which was way back in 2012. So this was a nice release. It was like, okay, they're really offering us something that nobody's heard before. It was from 76, which was the year they came back after their hiatus. And that was a year when the jams weren't quite as epic as they would definitely be the following year. But the song selections were pretty great. Batch of really good new songs that would develop, continue to grow, and be a part of the repertoire. They were trying to resurrect and successfully did resurrect some old songs. Some of them, like Cosmic Charlie, didn't stick around as much. But usually the set lists were pretty interesting. There were some pretty interesting things happening in these shows. This is a really good example of that. 3 CDs, the complete show. Set 1 is on disc 1, spills over onto disc 2, and then the rest of disc 2 is the second set, and then all of the third set is all of the third disc is the remainder of the second set. This is the band that would finish out all the way through like the beginning of 79. So you get, the 5 core members. You got Mickey returning from drums after he took his hiatus way back in like the early 70s. Godshall is still in the band on keys. Again, it's a really solid set list. And that kind of, with a couple really good jams in it that I think like, maybe not even the jams are that good, but like the segues are really interesting, and the way they kind of play with some of these songs is really interesting. But it's a really good release. Set 1, the first disc is the beginning of the first set. You open with a Promised Land, pretty decent, a Deal, a Cassidy, which is pretty much just a Cassidy and a super short jam at this point. A Sugaree, which is not quite as epic as it would be in 77, but you're really starting to get those cascading guitar lines that would kind of define what the solos were like. I always imagine just like this, I don't know, like not necessarily a merry-go-round, but more like this like water wheel, and the notes are like cascading over each other, and Jerry's just kind of like playing with that. That's the way I think of these Sugaree solos, and he plays with this sort of like revolving motion, and he escalates it higher and higher and higher. You can hear that sort of cascading style of jamming, but we're not reaching those epic peaks that he would reach in 77. Though you still have those sliding notes in the background, that just going back and forth, so you're kind of hinting at what it would be. Looks Like Rain. Really good Row Jimmy. Really good chill Row Jimmy. I think Row Jimmys in the late 70s are excellent. Good Big River, and a really good Tennessee Jed. I think the Sugaree, the Row Jimmy, the Tennessee Jed are probably the highlights of the first disc. Jerry's bringing it. His playing is just full of energy. The band is full of energy, but I think Jerry in particular is putting a little bit extra into his songs. Not the greatest first set, not something you must hear, but there's nothing bad about it at all. The energy's good, the performances are solid, and those 3 songs I think really stand out. Then we get into disc 2. In the beginning of disc 2, it's the last, I guess, one song with something nicely tucked in the middle of it that closes the first set. So we get a playing in the band. It's about a 12-minute playing in the band, or at least the first part of it is. Solid playing energy, not going too far out there. They're in that sort of free form, jazzy, exploratory area. The drums are there, everybody's there. It's not like your outer limits exploration, but we get some nice playing exploration. And then as you're listening, you're like, oh, they're clearly going into something else. And they clearly go into a supplication band, supplication jam. Clearly it's a supplication. Which I think if you're in the audience, you're like, okay, this is a neat little vibe right here, because I'm not sure you would have heard Lazy Lightning Supplication at this point, if you were only seeing them live. And so they go into supplication, and there are several times where you're like, you feel like Bob's about to jump in and be like, dizzy ain't the way that you make me feel, or whatever that line is, and he doesn't. You know, there's almost like a false front. And you're like, oh, we're going in. Oh, no, we're not. We're just teasing it. We're going in. We're teasing it. And then you feel like, okay, this is just a supplication jam. They're not actually going to commit to the song. And then, bam, Bob delivers the lyrics. We get a full-on supplication right in the middle of playing in the band. It's about 5 minutes long, and the meat of it is like building up to the lyrics, just as it would be in like when we get Lazy Lightning Supplication. So you get a really nice, healthy jam into the lyrics. Once the lyrics are delivered, we quickly kind of tail off back into that free form playing in the band area. We get about another 5 minutes of playing in the band, back into the, you know, the final closer of that. And then the second set ends. But really, that like jam when they find their way out of playing into supplication and then back into playing, it's just special. It's like one of those really, really good moments. And to think that this tape wasn't in circulation, and when this was released, this was like the thing that they delivered, really, really a good choice from Dave right here. And then the rest of the disc 2 is the beginning of the second set. You get a pretty solid Might As Well. It's a pretty good Might As Well. Samson and Delilah, a loser, again, another good loser. Jerry Is on Fire Tonight, and then a new Minglewood Blues. And then disc 3, we get more just kind of not the most far out there exploratory, but we get some pretty good jamming. We get a Help on the Way. It's pretty solid. Get a really nice Slipknot, about 5 minutes of that. Good Slipknot energy, kind of exploring the Slipknot venues and typical Slipknot. Nothing too crazy, but definitely not bad. That goes into drums. Get pretty about 5.5 minutes of drums. Then that goes back into Slipknot. And the best part of this is towards the end of it, when they're trying to find their way back into Franklin's Tower, they are really just kind of messing with that returning sort of riff. And it almost sounds like King Crimson-ish for a while, or even like, I'm trying to think like a Talking Heads type, maybe like a something you would find on maybe Fear of Music or Remain in Light, a very just convoluted, like them messing with that like sort of ending Slipknot theme before they find their way back into Franklin's Tower. Pretty good high energy Franklin's Tower. There are better Franklin's Tower, but the energy's good. Again, Jerry's bringing it into solos. And then that goes into kind of, I mean, it kind of ends, and then they immediately jump into The Music Never Stopped, which is just, you got a whole bunch of Blues for Allah songs right here. Sounds incredible. Just a fun performance. Not the greatest jam at the end of The Music Never Stopped. Maybe kind of short. You know, in a couple of years, it would be a couple minutes longer. But really good placement to have this at like the end of the second set. I think it works really well here. That goes into a Stella Blue that's pretty high energy. Jerry is still kind of amped up and putting a lot of energy into this Stella Blue. It's definitely not one of those like more like drawn out, slow, dramatic Stella Blues. It's more of like a, not a harder hitting, but just a little more, let's get through this kind of not rushed, but high energy. And then the set closes out with an Around, and then US Blues is the encore. So a pretty fun show with some really nice transitions, some really nice segues, and that playing into supplication, into playing is just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, that's this. No bonus tracks, nothing from any other show, just a really, really solid, if not at times great, September 76 show. I was having a hard time figuring out where exactly to put this in the ranking. It's definitely not as number one, because number one is going to be that 74 show. Not sure how easy it's going to be to knock out that 74 show. But I think right now it's going to end up right there, jumping all the way to number 2. Yeah, definitely better than that Volume 3, which is a solid show, but not my favorite year. 77, an absolutely phenomenal year, but this is maybe just kind of an average show from a great month, is that 77 show. But I do think the sort of specialness of the Play and Supplication, the really nice help slip, drum slip, music, all that kind of stuff, Franklin's music, all that stuff, Stella Blue, kind of elevates this maybe to a little more like, if I'm going to go to 77, I'm probably going to seek out another show for May. But this 76 show is so much fun and has so many interesting things, especially in the second set, that it's going to jump all the way up to number 2. So yeah, so that's it. That's it for this ranking. That's it for this volume. I'm trying to do one a week. Going to keep doing this all the way until hopefully they never stop releasing them. So hopefully I never have to stop making these videos. And I will live forever so that I can do it. That's my plan, people. So anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe, share, like, comment, all that kind of stuff. And if you do check this out and you have thoughts on this music, you think I hit it on the mark, didn't hit it on the mark, let me know. I appreciate that kind of stuff. That's all, you guys. Peace, and I'll talk to you later.